Hi, Tony Kashawi here. How to teach Commedia all year long without getting caught. Now, what we mean by this is that Commedia is very strict in its physical capabilities. Its caricatures, the walks, the timing, the exercises you do with to be able to make the mask punctuate movement. And so, why squeeze it into just one unit and just tap on it? I suggest that you build up the training all throughout the year, and then when you get to do your Commedia unit, the actors are primed. They've got palette of movement that they can access. They've been exercising their brains for spontaneity, and so therefore you'll end up with a very, very good, a very successful Commedia presentation in your assessments. So I've made a bit of a slideshow here to try and cover all the things you can do leading up to teaching Commedia. Now, I know there's some people that have logged on to say, oh, I'm going to be teaching Commedia soon. I better, come along to this Zoom meeting. Unfortunately, I'm not teaching how to do the Commedia. That's sort of another course on my website if you want to go there. But I want to talk about the idea of turning all the training into all of the different art forms, that performing art forms that you do in a year of drama teaching. Okay, so let's go to the slideshow. So there it is, Commedia all year round. Actors love training. Now, what I meant by this is that dancers go and do class every week, like they train, they have to keep stretching and keeping fit. Actors love to do the same, but they don't usually get the opportunity because they, unless you're working in a theatre company, then you're getting paid a wage. I mean, it's a very luxurious position to be in. There's only a few actors that get paid a wage to turn up to the theatre every day and rehearse or perform and rehearse and perform. So let's go to the next slide. So I suggest that you start a ritual of behavior so that the students get used to doing warm-up stretching exercises. I find that this is excellent for bringing the class together. Are you in the situation where you have some kids just wander in, throw a bag in the corner, sit down with their mates and talk about what they did last night or what they're going to do tonight or tomorrow? And so this is not the best way to start, because students start to think to themselves, oh, why should I bother turning up early? We always start late, and so therefore they become very blasé as to the formality of the class. So I recommend ritual of behavior, which is everyone start, maybe at the bell, you make sure everyone is in a circle and they start the stretching exercises. And it's a very simple exercise to start with because it's just doing physical movements. Everyone can do it. Well, I hope everyone, not talking about disabilities or anything. And I did another earlier Zoom, and I talked about how to actually get that to work by asking particular people to take the stretching exercise. And then you narrow it down where the class makes a decision that, that person's really good because, they're a dancer, they know exactly how to do all the stretching, and they become the leader for the rest of the year. But it has to be the group decision saying, well, she's the most capable. Also, if a student comes late, they apologize to the class, not to the teacher, because this builds up this sense of responsibility for each other. Okay, what's the next slide? Oh, sorry, there it is. So, stretching. Get them all to wear blacks if it's possible. I know it's school uniforms getting changed, all that kind of stuff is a problem. But if you have the opportunity in your school, get them to all wear blacks. It just gets them used to being in another time and space within the school environment. Okay, here's an idea that I do for a 3-week summer school that I have. Is at the beginning of the 3-week intensive, I get them to write a letter to themselves. It's a letter of commitment to what they're going to do during the year. I know there's many variations on this theme, but the reason why I do it is I tell them that they don't have to show it to anybody. It's a letter to themselves. I don't look at it. I tell them I'm not going to see it. You can take it home with you and put it in a drawer somewhere. And at the end of the period of time, it could be the end of the year, it could be an end of the term, that they read it. Now, what's the kind of things that you would encourage them to write? I would actually say, what do you want to get out of drama? You've elected for it and so on. So what do you expect? What do you want to get out of it? What do you want to achieve by the end of 3 weeks or a term? Sometimes it's as simple as saying, well, look, I want to learn how to touch my toes. in a stretching exercise. People bend down and they can't quite reach their toes. So that's a goal that they want to achieve. Simple things like that. And then close it up, seal it, and then at the end of the term, say to them, go and find your letter that you wrote yourself. Did you achieve the goals that you set out for yourself in this drama class? And of course, some will just scribble, oh, the teacher wants me to do this, and they fold it up and go, throw it away. But you see, what happens is when everyone goes back to read their letter, the person who didn't give it a bother sort of goes, oh, it's a letter to myself. What do I actually think of myself if I couldn't even bother to write a letter to myself? And so it's a mindset thing. Hopefully it changes their mind about what they're doing in their life, as well as drama and so on. Okay, always start the class with high energy drama games. Get them hot and sweaty, get them worn out, so that by the time you have to sit down and do some practical, writing stuff in groups or something like that, or get an assignment in and so on, they've done their warm-up, they've done their exercise, they've been active in the class. I think that's essential. Don't play elimination games. I know this might sound obvious, but I've actually seen, drama teachers play just a drama game as a warm-up. But the game is that you actually get eliminated if you don't, fulfill the game's rules. And then slowly, one by one, everyone gets eliminated. And the winners are the last two fighting it out. Unfortunately, the ones that have gone out early are absolutely bored now because they're just sitting watching a few get to the end of the game and there's a winner, and nobody else wants to be no one celebrates being the winner except the winner. So no elimination games. That's just, I think, an obvious thing for a drama class. Okay. When you introduce a game, explain to them what the benefits are for an actor, saying this exercise is designed to increase your spontaneity, allow you to just think on the spot and say whatever words come to your head and blah, blah, blah. So the reason why you should explain is keeps reminding the students that you're not just playing games for the sake of playing games and it's just fun class and now we have to get back to work. Explain that the drama games are part of the lesson. And also tell them when it's not just an experience and say, okay, done that, what's next, miss? Okay, we've done that, what's next, miss? And they put it away. It's a cumulative experience. I can't say that word. What I'm saying is bring the experience you had in the game along to the next exercise. Keep reminding them. They're saying, well, the reason why we did that game is a warm-up in preparation for this one. Don't separate them. Okay. This one, at the end of every activity, ask your students to say thank you to each other. So if you're working in pairs, just get them to say thank you to your partner as they wave goodbye and stuff. I think this is very valuable because it acknowledges the fact that you're actually spending time with other human beings. I mean, it's very rare in our community, in our lives, that we actually get together in an empty space and create things out of nothing. So do an appreciation and say thank you very much for the person that is working with you, or in a group, thank the group. Oh, sometimes they get a bit blasé, they go, oh yeah, thank you, because the teacher said we had to. They do that for a while, but if you're persistent as a teacher and you say it every time, they actually fall into saying to each other, thank you, like I really mean it, thank you. And I guess the ones in the class that are feeling a little less confident than the confident ones, they're getting affirmations, they're getting appreciated. I think it's a very valuable thing to do. Okay, ask them also, doing thank yous, if you can fit it in, if it's appropriate, ask them to say what they liked about what they just did. So if you just did an improvisation in pairs or trios, just get them to give feedback. Not the whole class sit around and do a check-in or anything like that. No, just get them to say to each other, pardon me, I liked it when you climbed under the chair and you looked up. As I looked down, that was really good. So they're actually acknowledging parts of the game they just played or parts of the improvisation they did and acknowledging what they like, as opposed to what they don't like. Say, I don't like it when you walk behind me, blah, blah. Because when you say what you like, you're starting to form your opinion of what you like about the performing arts. And so in their life, later on, maybe a year or two, and they're out in the street and somebody asks them, well, why do you do drama? With that horrible tone of voice. And then that person can become quite articulate because they've been learning, they've been experiencing it, they've been able to articulate it verbally. Okay, next. Okay, physical fitness exercise. So I suggest you do not only just the stretching warm up, but you actually do a ritual of, the walks, the balance and movement palettes, I should say. Mirror work is essential so that actors are working together. Now, here's a little video I'm going to play for you in the slideshow here, where I found this on the internet. I actually made a video of it earlier and put it up on YouTube. But this guy I found was playing with a travelator or an exercise walking machine. Now you can see he's doing all different walks. I thought this was great because we don't have to get our students to go on these little exercise machines, but you can get them to walk around the room as different types of characters. So instead of saying, okay, we're only going to do walks for the Commedia, get them to do regular training of all kinds of walks. It's going to, fulfill the needs of all acting units that you're doing. I mean, all projects that you do through your curriculum-based acting. So yes, you can have a look on my website and you'll find this little video. You can actually show it to the students and then say, we're going to do that as we walk around the room. And it says, when it says there, I think there was one that says, walk like an old man. Well, now you're actually saying, well, now walk like Pantalone, once you've done the ritual steps. So here's one that's about balance. I created this little exercise for getting them to understand that Commedia is balance and control. So when you're teaching them the technique, the walks and so on, is that I get them to imagine they're like the Karate Kid. This is a very clumsy class. This is the first time these students did this. I'll show you. What they're doing is imagining they're standing on a pole and that they jumping from one leg to the other and balancing like they're on a tightrope. Here, watch. Sell it. And rest. So there you go. So what I do is that if I had a stick, I would bang it on the ground and like the old masters in the theater used to do. But I was just clapping my hands, and that means I had to jump. Wait. So what they do is that they're a bit like the karate where they center their gravity. It's all down to the one leg and they're balancing like this. And I said sell it, meaning like, when a tightrope walker is walking across in the circus and they pretend to look like they slipped. And the audience goes, like this. Well, they do it for a purpose, because if this tightrope walker just walked across there and back, it wouldn't be like, yeah, I can do this every day. It's easy for me. The audience are not going to be impressed. But if they sell it, make it look dangerous, then it's a bonus. So I say to them, if you're balancing and trying to capture your balance, pretend you're on a tightrope and you sell it for the audience. A whole skit can be made around a zany standing on one foot. Okay, here's some of the technique that you could do. All of these are available for parts of your training. Look at all the stuff that you could be practicing with them as a physical exercise. Okay, you can find that in my book. That's just a plug to buy my book. Brain warm-ups is next. Storytelling, building confidence. Word at a time. Opposites game. High status games. All very, very important to do. Plan your class. Now, this one, I think I'd like to come back to the screen because lesson plans. Teachers are quite familiar with doing lesson plans because you have to. It's all part of the teaching criteria. You've got to have your plan, your outcomes, and so on. I understand that, but when I say lesson plans, I say it for a different reason. And what I mean is that you've got to keep your class moving. Don't give them time to sit down and talk about what they did yesterday or whatever. Keep them moving. Always have your next game ready. There's nothing worse being if I was a student, to hear the teacher go, okay, what should we do now? No. And the students will go, what about we play this game? So keep them moving. Make sure that you know exactly. When you walk in, I actually write a lesson plan and I put it next to minutes. so that I know if I'm behind or ahead in my class. So I've allocated 3 minutes for this game, 5 minutes for this game because everyone's got to have a go, 7 minutes to this game, and then your end of 15 or 20-minute warm-up section has finished and you're watching the clock. Then you do the rest of the class, whatever the unit is demanding of you. So lesson plans are very important. Also, lesson plans, let me go back to the screen. One of the things that I always say is, you can see at the bottom there, it says, is everybody going to have a positive experience? Now, this goes back to what I was saying before about lesson plan, is that when you say, I'm going to do this game, you know what it's like. You grab a book off the shelf and you go, oh yeah, theatre games. Oh yeah, I haven't done that for a while. I'll do that one. I'll do that one. That's okay. You've got to search for new material. But I always put at the bottom of every game that I pull out, is everyone going to have a positive experience? What I mean by that is, the best example is the one where we say word at a time game. I was playing this, I think I mentioned this in the previous video. We were playing this with a bunch of primary school age after school drama class, and the tutor then that I was working with said, oh, let's play word at a time. Do you know the one where you say, once upon a time, there was a, and everybody gets to say one word to make up a story, and they went around the whole group, everyone standing in a circle. And of course, the downside to this is it came to one student in the crowd of circle where they just blocked. They just went, I don't know what to say, and you know, and they kind of die a little bit inside. So I recommend, what do you do to make sure that everyone has a positive experience? And of course, the very easy thing to do is to prepare them, warm them up into playing the bigger game. So I get them in pairs. So they go, once upon a time, there was a big whatever. And so in pairs, they can make mistakes. They just laugh it off and they start again. Once upon a time. And it's always good to start with once upon a time because it kind of gets them rolling. And then I get them into fours. And then, you know, maybe another warm up, say a bigger group or two groups, split the class in half. And then say, as a final thing, say, let's see if we can do it. This is a challenge. I want to see if we can do the word at a time story in the whole group. So you have the whole circle. They're all warmed up. They know what the game's about. They know, they've just experienced it, and they try and go around. And if somebody blocks, then it's not so serious that everyone's looking at them, because it was a challenge to see if we could pull it off. Sometimes you can actually say, skip or whatever, and it goes to the next person, and then that person's shocked and they go skip. So I don't recommend you offer that option to them. Warm them up, prepare them. But I go a little bit too into detail with some of these. This video is going to be ending up way too long. Okay, so let's go back to the slideshow. Explain instructions clearly and repeat the same words exactly when asked. What do you do again, miss? So have you heard that expression? You're just saying, okay, we're going to play this improvisation game where all you have to do is this. And then the students go, what are we supposed to do? And then they even ask again, even maybe 3 times. So I didn't quite. So you want us to, and so the way to stop this is to repeat the instructions exactly the same way every time, if you can remember. Explain the instructions slowly and clearly, and the rest of the group's sitting there going, oh, I get it, I know exactly what she's talking about. And so the student that's trying to disrupt, and sometimes they do it to be a smartass, but more often than not, the student is concerned that they want to get the instructions right because they want to do the exercise correctly. And Keith Johnson says that getting it right is the death of creativity. Now, that's from his book, Impro. And what he means by this is that the student wants to make sure that, you know, they're not going to be made a fool. They want to get it right, so they make sure they got the instructions correct. Try and discourage this need for wanting to get it right. Okay, so we're back. That was it. That was coming up to 20 minutes. So thank you very much, and I hope you like these Zoom videos, slideshow presentations, and I'll hand it over to Tony, who is waiting. Bye-bye.